um, saying that well, this is the law of the land. I'm following the law of the land.
Yeah, but see, unjust law is no law at all. Quote unquote, great debaters. If you ever seen that movie, that's one of my favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
Unjust law is no law. Everything that Hitler did over in Russia was legal. When he
Mm-hmm.
was over there torturing and murdering all them Jews, that was legal in their country.
Yeah.
However, that was not. That was an unjust law.
Yeah. But don't it say something like that in the Bible though?
What is that?
Like follow the law of the land or whatever. Give Caesar what Caesar is basically.
As long as it don't go against God. So
Yeah.
we follow the law. Like for example, we believe in marriage, but we don't believe in man marriage or woman and woman marriage because that's not marriage. Marriage in definition alone is between one man and one woman.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get a man together with a man, you got to call that something. You got to call that slarage or disparage. You got to come up with a new word for it. You
Yeah.
whatever union you want to call that. That's something different. That's something new.
Right.
I'm looking on. That's why I keep turning from the screens. I'm looking on Facebook to make sure it's going live. It's live now, so
Okay.
we live on Facebook, y'all. I got my guy Reggie Jackson. I've been knowing for about I want to say like 30 years or close to it. From the same areas in Fort Wayne on the South Side. Went to school together at Village Middle School. We went to Harding together. Reggie is I think man, you might be like one of the funniest dudes I ever met in my life. Reggie Jackson, the dude that will get you kicked out of class for laughing at something he said. Him, let me see, it's a few people that I know that's funny. You, Reggie Jackson, Whitney, super funny. What's Whitney last name?
Harris.
What is it?
Harris.
Whitney
Harris.
Harris. Yeah,
Yeah.
Whitney Harris. My homeboy I grew up with from DNU, Dallas Hall.
Oh
Keith.
man, do you know Dallas Hall was one of my adopted brother when I was in like second or third grade.
No,
He was actually living with, he actually lived with us.
oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, actually lived with us for probably not even a year. Him and his sister Candace.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's my homeboy. Yeah, we
That's
grew up
that,
together.
that's how I met him. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that dude is super funny. And Keith is super funny. And then
Hmm.
Daniel Wilkins, but when anytime we talk about somebody being funny, your name always come up in the conversation as somebody that will get you kicked out of class. Then we had the other people that was funny, like Andrew Moore was always funny to me.
Yeah.
Andre Kimbrough was always funny to me. Yeah, Andre
Oh man.
Kimbrough, he got some of
Yeah.
like the funniest memes I ever seen. One time he said something on Facebook that was so funny. I ain't talked to this dude in about 10 years. I called him out the blue. I said,
Yeah.
man, I just read that post, bruh. That was funny. Like, I mean, it was funny. And the post was like something like this. He was like, man, I was over this girl house for the first time and I was sitting in her living room and she had a hanger hooked up to her TV. And I just got up and left and said, you ain't even on my level. I was broke because I could see him saying that in his face how he
Yeah.
was looking. But
Man, I met him. I met him when we was freshmen on some silly stuff. You know what I mean? We clicked because we both was in there trying to make the situation a little more bearable. That's really all it was about in school, man. Like that education honestly was a boring education. You know
right,
what I mean? It didn't really hold my attention, man. And honestly, it was kind of torturous. So I felt like I just had to get something. Man, I got to be in here laughing, having fun because what they was teaching us, man. After about a fifth, sixth grade education, man, you really know enough to not get ripped off at the supermarket or you know how to read stop sign. You know what I mean? So
right.
like after that, it just got really monotonous and really bored, man. And so I had to, man. I think that was the only way I got through.
Right, right. Yeah, you was super funny, man. That was crazy back in the day, man. We used to kick it and laugh, and it was always fun. I love going to school too because of that.
You
Certain
know,
classes I had with certain people, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make sure I go to this class today.
yeah. I talk to Mr. Brown every now and again, right?
Oh, okay. No, I
and,
know.
and yeah, and we didn't had breakfast, several times, and so I asked him. I said, so why didn't you never just kick me out of school, like expel me? Because I never been expelled. You know what I mean? I got kicked out of school a couple of times, but I always was getting referrals, always getting removed out of the class. He was like, because of your parents. I call your parents and I let them know what's going on. They never tried to defend you or make it difficult for me to convinced them that he was being problematic, and they always, worked with me on trying to get you to straighten up. You know what I mean?
Right, right,
He told me there's kids, and I have a sibling who's like this. When a teacher calls home about your daughter or your son, the parent gets defensive and wants to take the side of the kid. When
right,
all the administrator's trying to do is let you know what's going on. How do you want to handle this? Because we trying to work together raising your kid.
right,
He said parents that gave him friction, he would get rid of the kid because that kid was going to continue to be a problem because it starts at home.
right.
The parent problem. So I'm gonna get rid of both of y'all. You know what I mean?
Right, right, right. Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That do make a lot of sense. The reason why I reached out to you is because we both trying to get into the real estate game and trying to come up. And I believe it was a couple of years back I even had you go look at a crib for me in Kokomo because you was doing some plumbing work or some whatever you was doing out there, and you was always in Kokomo anyway. And you did a quote for me on some plumbing and some stuff I was looking at. And I think the conversation we was having, we was talking about like black businesses and how we see a lot of other ethnic groups sticking together, like how white people when it comes to like family business, they're quick to pass it down to other family members or try to keep it in the family or the community. We see the same thing with Mexicans. We see the same thing with Indians from Asia or native Indians.
Burmese. Yeah.
Burmese. We see the same thing with Puerto Ricans, with Jews, but for some reason, it's different when it comes to black business and the black family. And you had like some you was telling me about with your uncle, and you want to expound on that some more and tell us what's going on?
Well, okay, so you know, I'll give you a bit of background on this particular uncle and a couple of other uncles I got. I've always gravitated towards entrepreneurial people. Okay, so when I was young and my uncle had rental properties and my other uncle had rental properties, I would gravitate. I would naturally look up to him like, oh man, you know what I'm saying? Like I would aspire for that. Like that's a good thing. I didn't know how to get into the market or like that. I just knew that these were guys that was kind of doing something a little different.
Right.
Fast forward as an adult, you know what I mean? I always talk to my uncle about his properties, and I've done plumbing work on some of those properties, and I've always told him, when you get ready to get rid of them, you know what I mean? Let me know. I want the first crack at buying them. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm gonna take care of it. You know me as a person. You know how I try to hold my family down, try to take care of everybody. I'm not known as a rip-off artist, a scammer. Never been my reputation ever. You got a daughter that's pretty close to me in age. I'll always make sure she gonna be okay when you gone years from now. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was not a doubt in my mind that he knew I was interested and capable of purchasing these properties from him. For whatever reason, man, he sold two of them a couple weeks ago. You know what I mean? He sold two single families. Here, you know the market in Fort Wayne.
It's tight.
So listen to this. He sold two single families for $25,000. Now you know the market. You don't even got to see these properties.
Right.
Two of them for $25,000.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Together or each?
That was the total sum of the two.
Oh wow.
I don't, in today's market, I don't even have to look at those properties. You know what I'm saying?
Right. They was already being rented out with tenants.
I don't think so. It doesn't. In my opinion, in my experience, on real estate, it wouldn't even matter. You selling me two doors, two single family doors.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? 3 bedrooms, bath, 3-1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the deal. There's equity there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's equity there, and I knew enough about them that they weren't ran down where they needed to be gutted or burned down. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I spoke with him. 3-4 months ago, he was like, "Okay, man, next time I'm over there, I'm gonna have you come over there and let you assess." Because I've been in real estate since 2007, 2008. You know what I mean?
Right.
I got a broker's license. I started off in real estate as a hobby. I still kind of see it as a hobby because it's fun to me. You know what I mean?
It is fun.
And he was supposed to call me over to assess. Like, okay, this is what you're working with. This is what I would do. This is where I would put the money at, and then you could sell them. You know what I mean? Whatever. He told me one day he was frustrated and just sold them to some. You know what I mean? To another race. You know what I mean? Like for $25,000. And he said, "Don't you know them people already got one sign up trying to sell one of them? They ain't even did nothing to it." I said, "Yeah, because you basically gave them a free house." You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, why didn't you sell them to me? You know what I mean? He was, and I could tell he was not proud of that moment because he told my mom that he gave me an opportunity, and I called my mom right there in front of him on speakerphone. He didn't know my mom was listening, but I wanted her to hear him. You would tell me that you gave me an opportunity, and I told you I wasn't ready or wasn't in position to get these properties. You know what I'm saying? And that never came out because that wasn't the truth. So, and honestly, man, it made me feel a little different. Kind of hurt my feelings, man, because
Right. Right.
black people, like I'm doing this so that I can pass something down, leave something to my kids. You know what I mean?
Generational wealth.
Yeah, he should be doing. He should. I thought he was on the same thing. You know what I mean? Um, and the devil in me wants to be mean and cruel to him, like like not as respectful as I've always been, because I kind of feel like he didn't want me to have those properties. He didn't want me in that position. You know what I mean? Because I already have a decent portfolio without him. You
Right.
know what I mean? And I don't think he wanted to add to that. So he decided to um he decided to let those properties go somewhere outside of our family circle. You know what I mean? And that's something, man, that I won't do. You know what I mean? If it's time to like retire and get out of the game, now if I'm doing it for making money right now, that's one thing. But if I'm retired and getting out of the game, I'm gonna try to pass these down to my kids or somebody in the family, and let me see what they can do with it for the next 20, 30 years. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, to me, that's that Willie Lynch mentality, like the old versus the young, the dark versus the light, the tall versus the short thing. And we see this a lot when it comes to our community for some reason. When it comes to us trying to uplift one another, encourage one another within the family, it's always a disconnect with that. It's almost like, why wouldn't you want your nephew, your son, your daughter, or somebody in your family that's well capable, that's already got a track record, some experience doing this? Why wouldn't you want them to take over this property to keep it in the family? Like,
To keep your legacy going, also.
right, exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And what I see, moving forward is like, okay, how can I not be that way? Like, when it comes to us, when our children get older and or we got nephews and nieces, and they trying to do what we do, will there be a roadblock for us? Will you have a roadblock when you had that nephew come to you? What would you do?
I'm a human being. One emotion, one feeling that you probably never heard anyone admit, and I had to read it in a book to be conscious of it. Nobody ever admits when they're just jealous of another person. Okay,
Mm,
they will admit a lot of things. Oh, I like your car. Oh, you got a nice house. You know what I mean? Oh, your wife is beautiful. You know what I mean? You're doing your thing,
mm,
but nobody will just say, "Man, I'm really jealous of you, bro." You know, like, and then there's people that's jealous to a fault, where they're jealous now. That jealous turns into hate, and they will do whatever they can to keep you from moving forward.
right.
Now, I have jealous thoughts in my mind also because I'm human, right? So I'll
Right.
be riding down the street and I'll see one of my buddies' real estate signs. Or I'll see a couple of my other buddies' trucks for his HVAC company, or my other buddy with his electro company. I'm like, yeah, he out here doing his thing. There's a jealous feeling, right? But the jealousy it motivates and inspires me. It
Right.
doesn't make me not like them. It motivates and it inspires me to be like, yeah, it's better to see my buddy's real estate sign in the yard than a Century 21 Bradley sign sitting in there. You have no emotion. You see Culver Banker signs in the yard,
Right.
or you see Century 21 or
Right.
Remax. But if you see your homie that you know personally, who's in your circle,
Right.
it's he's doing his thing.
But
And
even with that Fort Wayne mentality, right? People in Fort Wayne, that crabs in the bucket, and this with a lot of people from that with that hood mentality. If we know Reggie Jackson got a clothing store, I'm not going to your clothing store to buy the same clothes that I would go to the mall or TJ Maxx and buy just because it's your clothing store.
I don't know how you fix that.
That's
You
crazy.
know what I mean? I don't know how you fix that, man. I think that's something between that person. That person need to get on his hands and knees and pray about to remove this hatred. You know what I mean? Because we ain't gonna never get nowhere with not by not sticking together, man. You know, we got I got a buddy who got a restaurant now out here by Dwanger, and I make sure I go to it once a week, man.
That's what's
You know
up.
what I mean? You know what I mean? And my wife don't want nothing from there. My kids don't really want nothing from there, but I go get something from there. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
He hired me to do the plumbing in there. You know what I mean?
Right.
It ain't gonna be my fault why the business fails if it fails, because I'm gonna patronize. I tell my other buddies to patronize it. You know what I mean? We
Right.
got to start doing that, man. And I think that is why racism has survived in this country, because white people do not need black people. They just don't. They don't need us. If all the black people were removed from this country today, there wouldn't be very many white people's lives that were affected by that.
Now, see, I disagree with that because black people, we're the biggest consumers.
Let me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me finish. We only make up 14% of the population, okay? That's not a lot. That's not a lot. That's not even 2 out of 10. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we don't make cars. We don't have a car that we produce. We don't have big companies that produce concrete. We don't have a lot of guys out here doing service work when things go wrong at your house or your car. We don't have a lot of guys that have stores that have products in there for sale that people absolutely need and they can't get nowhere else. You know what I mean? We can't be racist. Black people, you know, we could say, you know, you kind of feel a certain kind of way about white people, but that's kind of retaliation. You know what I mean? But we have to go to Kroger. We have to go to Walmart. We got to go to CVS. We got to go to. We have to. We rely on them. We rely on them for our vehicles. We rely on them for our gas. We rely on them for our bicycles, our kids' clothes, leagues that our kids play in. You know what I mean? The churches that were built, the schools that are built. You know what I mean? Like until we are able to self-sustain ourselves in this country and be relied upon by them, they don't need us, man, and they're gonna always have a disdain for us. That's just my opinion. And you know, me as a plumber, I have something to offer the world. Me as a broker, I have something to offer the world. I can offer you housing if you need a place to stay. I can give you advice on a method to probably try to find and obtain some housing. As far as plumbing goes, something go wrong in your house, you call me. You need me. I show up to a door. Most of my clientele is the white people. I show up to their door. They so friendly and so nice and warm and welcome. Hey, you want some lunch? You need anything to drink? Let me know if I can get anything for you. Oh God, I'm glad you could come out so soon. You know what I mean? They have a different perspective of me. You know what I mean? They don't see me as being black. They see me as the plumber.
Right.
You know what I mean? He here to stop this water from tearing our house up. You know what I mean? And
you provide the service.
Yeah, they rely on something that I can give to them. So seriously, Harry, like how many people, when you really need something, let's just say for your house, okay? Something goes wrong with your house or your car, and you don't want no games, right? You want to get it, you ain't got time for no games. I mean, you don't even have to answer this question, but how many black people is in your contact list that you're going to use?
I tell you this. Times when I have went to like black owned like car shops and businesses, I got ripped off. And me and my wife specifically went to some in the hood that literally just ripped us off. I'm talking about like, bruh, it was crazy. And me and my wife looking at each other at the end of the day like, man, we try to go out our way to support black businesses, and then the dude want to do something shady or something illegal and try to rip us off. You know, and this is the round and round circle we go. But you said something like you know, white America don't need black people. I disagree with that because black people, we the biggest consumers. If we wasn't out here buying cars that we couldn't pay for to keep up with the Joneses, or buying all this expensive jewelry that really don't really mean anything, or all these expensive clothes, then they will probably go out of business. Remember, Tommy Hilfiger came out and said, what he say? He said, if I knew black people were going to buy my clothes, I would have charged more, or I would have not made them, or something like that. I don't know if you remember that from back in the day.
That was back in the day, middle school years, I believe.
Yeah.
High school.
I mean, and it was stuff that people couldn't afford. I remember even Kanye West having an interview, and he was talking about he would save up 4 or 5 paychecks just to go buy a Gucci belt when he was like 16 or 17 years old. So imagine this. You got a job probably making like maybe $7.25 an hour, and every dime you make, you saving up just so you can buy you a Gucci belt. This is the perception that we as black people have, because I was even told growing up that you supposed to look like you got it even if you don't. I mean, just to put it that way, you supposed to carry yourself a certain way and look a certain way, even on your baddest day. You supposed to look fresh. I mean, that was kind of ingrained in me since I was like a little dude.
Do you agree with that? Now, there's a saying called "fake it till you make it," but I don't think that's the same thing.
You don't think that's the same thing? Because I think that's the same thing. Fake it till you make it is the same thing to me. Because if you pulling up, for example, if you got somebody that you doing business with and they're supposed to be successful, but then they pull up in a 1982 Dodge Chrysler, you'll be like, and they come with some jeans and a t-shirt, it'll throw you off. Even though if you look at real, like people with real wealth, they wear plain clothes and plain shoes with no labels or no tags because they saving and investing all their money. But it's the dude that pull up with the Brooks Brothers suit and the nice Cadillac truck. He in $100,000 in debt.
I agree.
So
I agree with that.
So I mean, if we remove black people from the economy of buying stuff around Christmas time, I think the country could go bankrupt.
So basically that, if you believe that, we only 14% of the population, so that means we spending a lot of money on stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Out of that 14%, we putting a big dent in the economy, retail wise.
Yeah.
Purchase stuff.
Yeah.
We spending all.
Because we have a consumer mentality. We don't have a buyer mentality. And this is something I struggle with even as a Christian, is materialism and coveting stuff. Even as a Christian, that's one of my weak points and my sins, because it's almost like I know I could get it if I wanted to, but then it comes to a certain time and point in your life where it's like, do I really need that? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to revamp my thinking and trying to be more on the ownership investor side. I want my money to work for me instead of me working for my money.
Yeah, that was because our first 15 years of being on this earth, that's what we was groomed for. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like we're like, I'm gonna speak for myself. I'm like a first generation Indiana kid. Okay.
Right.
My parents is from the South. Okay. So coming from where they come from, my parents was born in the 50s. So coming from where they're coming from, civil rights, Jim Crow, all of that stuff, right? They did good to make it out of that environment, get here, and be able to buy a house, raise a family, and try to stay out of the way of just you got your kids in an environment that they grew up in.
Right.
I give them a win for that, okay?
Yeah.
Now, never mind them, they worked in factories. Never mind them really dialing into the economy and being financially educated, learning how money works, how to use money, how to use your energy. You know what I mean? They weren't able to teach us that because they were, like I said, they did good enough just to get us here, go to work. Just keep us alive, try to keep us in the safest environment possible. Okay.
Right.
So now, now me, I don't have an excuse because I went to decent schools. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so my struggle isn't their struggle. I just want to get somewhere and raise my kids safe. No, that's a given for me. Now I'm trying to take it to another level. I'm learning about money. I'm building wealth. You know what I mean? I'm going to be an improvement of my parents. Right. I should be a new and improved version of my parents.
Right.
I should have everything they taught me plus what I've been picking up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Oh, and then my kids should be a new and improved version of me.
Right.
Because I'm supposed to give them all the game my parents gave me, all the game I got, and then y'all got to go out and get y'all new experiences, and y'all end up teaching me stuff. Even now with the technology and all that stuff.
So let me ask you this: you was raised in a 2-parent household, like your mom and dad married and like still together, or?
Nope, they got divorced when I was 12, but my dad remarried, so my family was broken.
Okay.
It got broken up at 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom still was able to hold it down on her residence, and my dad, held his down. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they didn't have time to sit out and teach me about money or you gonna go to work with me today. You know what I mean?
Right.
They went to very few ball games and school functions. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that wasn't, that wasn't, like I said, they did good just to get us here and get me in a better environment. So
Right.
I don't have any excuses on why. I had opportunities for college. I had opportunities for decent jobs. I was made aware of certain things. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
So a little late in life. You know what I mean? So now my kids though, and like my niece and my nephew, I got a 22-year-old nephew off to a great start in life. He's got so much game and insight. I say, look here, man, you're not gonna be able to have the excuse. Oh, I didn't know.
Right.
You're not gonna be able to. You can't use that. Not with me. You can't, because anything you don't know, call me. I'll let you know.
Right.
And if you don't pursue it, that's just your own mentality, your own mind state. Your mind, something with your mind say you lazy. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. That's the same thing I tell my children. I tell my children a lot of times, like, you know what? Y'all don't have no excuse. Like for, acting out, not doing what you're supposed to do. You have no excuse at all. The fact that, me and your mom still married your whole life, that's all y'all ever known was daddy and mama. The fact that, we both are professionals in our careers, the fact that we both are entrepreneurs, and we providing all these tools and these resources for y'all. All y'all can do is pick up the ball and go. It's like, why would you hinder yourself or become lazy? Because you feel like everything is like you entitled to it. And that's one of the things I struggle with. Hold on, somebody calling me. That's one of the things I struggle with sometimes. I'll be thinking like, maybe I'm doing too much for my children and it's making them soft a little bit because they don't have that ambition or that drive like I did growing up. Because I was always taught to go get it. I wasn't waiting on nobody for nothing. My mama, my daddy, nobody. And then the way that I grew up, huh?
Because it wasn't gonna come if you waited on it.
Yeah, it wasn't gonna come. And my wife was the same way. When she was growing up, she used to tell me stories like, look, if she didn't do this and do that, school books didn't get paid. You know what I'm saying? If she didn't do this, do that, she wouldn't have no clothes for school for the school year. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? So we had to go out and do it. But my children, they don't know nothing about that life. You know what I'm saying? They to them that seemed like a fairy tale. Like, what do you mean you didn't have school clothes or books? What do you mean sometimes the lights weren't on or sometimes y'all ain't had something to eat? What does that mean? They confused or something. I'm like, look,
they're really not supposed to though.
Yeah, they not supposed to, but I think what happens is because they never experienced that, they almost seem like that's not like a real part of life. And even though we do what we supposed to do, don't think that I'm gonna be holding your hand and supporting you for the rest of your life. You see what I'm saying? Because you might know some people like this. In high school, their parents did everything for them. Got them a car, got them clothes, got them shoes, took them on vacations. Soon as high school was done with and they didn't finish college and do what they were supposed to do, they became bums. Why? Why did they become bums? What happened? Because they couldn't connect that they had to have some type of discipline and some consistency to do things for themselves, and they can't just keep waiting on mama and daddy to do everything for them. If you
they were given fish instead of being taught how to fish.
Yeah, it's like the person, you 15, 16 years old and your parents still got to wake you up in the morning for school, or your parents still got to tell you what time you need to be at work. Why do I have to tell you what time you need to be at work, or why do I need to wake you up for school? You should already know that. That's part of your job. Like back in the day when I was going to school in elementary, I had to wake myself up. My mama wasn't coming in there waking me up, and if I didn't wake up, I was gonna get woke up to some cold water or a smack to the face or something like that. Miss Pieces wasn't playing.
Yeah, and I don't think I had a problem waking up in the morning because I kind of looked forward to getting out of the house and going to holler at my friends and my associates at school. Right. You know what I mean? Right. It was funner than my house. Right. But these kids today got a little more plush than we had. Like school lunch. I look forward to school lunch growing up. Right. You know what I mean? Like, man, we have pizza day. We having fries. I'm gonna make me a salad and give me some fries. Right. So I was able to just motivate ourselves because ultimately it's gonna fall on the kid though. Right. Because you can take a kid and give them a silver spoon. There's silver spoon kids out here that end up falling off, like we just talked about. Right. And then there's kids that grew up that didn't have much. Into the death of them, they're gonna make sure that it don't stay that way. Because how you born is not a choice, but to remain that way is a choice.
Right. Right.
I'm kind of honestly, man. I got I got three brothers. I got two sisters. My twin sister.
Yeah.
So honestly, I'm the oddball in the family. As a 40-year-old man speaking and looking about when it comes to we get together and how the relationships mesh and click. I'm the oddball in the family. My mother-in-law told that to me. You know what I mean? She was like, "Why are you so different from them?"
I love your mother-in-law too.
Yeah. She told me that. She's like, she's like, you like the oddball of the family. And when we think of oddball, it has a negative connotation to it, right?
Yeah.
In this instance, I don't think it is because I'm entrepreneurial. I'm always coming up with 4 or 5 streams of ways of getting income, legitimate, innocent, honest income. You know what I mean?
Yo, your conversation is different.
Yeah, man. We like they the type to sit around, everybody grab their favorite beverage, they pack of cigarettes, and they can sit around the table, for hours until that stuff is gone.
Right.
And they go home. You know what I mean? Basically, until that stuff is gone.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Come on,
I know what you're talking about. Get kicking it. That's fun. We get together, we click, we drink and do whatever we do, and then we kick the bobos, and that's pretty much it.
Every day, right? And I might do that on a Saturday or Friday. You know what I mean? I might, but I can't be around that for too long because, like, what are we talking about? Why can't we come up with something? All 5, 6, 7, 8 of us in here. Why can't we come up with a way to come up as far as economically? Why don't we figure out? Why don't we talk about, instead of talking about people, let's talk about some ideas. You know what I mean?
Everybody
but
don't.
I'm the oddball.
Yeah, everybody don't want that conversation because it's risk involved. Anytime you're talking about starting a business and doing something outside of the box in your comfort zone, a lot of people shrink back. And see, the thing about it is too, right? They scared that they gonna fail, and they might fail, but anybody that's successful in business has failed a few times. Nobody gets it right the first time. You're gonna take some shortages. You're gonna take some losses. However, you dust yourself off and you get back out there and you try again. You know what I'm saying? That's the entrepreneurial mindset. Just because we fall or we come up short on 1 or 2 deals don't mean that we're going to stop doing it because we know that this is the way. We just got to tweak each time.
It's a mindset.
Right.
And certain people just don't have that mindset. You remember some months ago I hit you up about the Susu thing and you declined it, right?
Uh-huh.
I ended up losing $1,500 on that.
Uh-huh.
It never went nowhere.
Uh-huh.
I had a sister-in-law that brought me in. You know what I mean? I trusted her that she would, take care of me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Ended up losing $1,500.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm not even mad about it. And I'm not mad about it because I was attempting to build something or come up. You know what I mean?
Right.
It wasn't like I took $1,500 and went and bought 1,500 bottles of liquor and we all just drunk it or just blew $1,500 on something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I invested that in something. It turns out I lost it all. Right. But I'm not even mad about it. You know what I mean? Because I learned.
That's part of the game. I mean? That's part of the game.
It's part of the game. You got to pay it to play it. You know what I mean?
Right.
There ain't no school for this stuff anymore. So everything you learn, man, you got to pick up off of people, their experiences, the good and the bad. You see somebody walk down the street, get hit by a bus, you better learn from that.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Exactly. If you see a guy that's going to work every day, then he get off of work, go to another job, you need to learn from that. Not saying you got to do it, but you need to peep the game.
Right.
You know what I mean? We know very little of what I learned in school. Has got me where I am today. You know what I mean? Like and the stuff you using now in real estate, they ain't teach you nothing like that in school.
No, they
you know what I mean?
They did.
Things about plumbing, they didn't teach me nothing about plumbing in school.
You know what? I don't even think they have like trade classes in high schools no more. I think there is no more welding and all that type of stuff in schools no more, is it?
Well, there wasn't at our school, bro. They had them.
They had it at Snyder back when I went to Snyder too. They had it at Snyder, and then after some years it went away.
Well, you go to East Noble, you go to some schools, man. You get outside the county, man, and they got them, man. You know what I mean? They didn't want to introduce that to black people. That would change our lives. Plumbing changed my life. Plumbing saved my life, bro. I learned, I got out and got on my feet in 2007, got in the program in 2008. It changed my life. It literally did. I never thought that I would be a plumber. No, not in a million years. You would never heard me talk about it, didn't know about it, nothing.
Right.
Didn't know how to get into it. It changed my life. It saved my life. Honestly, it really did. And I took my nephew that I was talking to you about, I took him he wanted to go to Trine University. Took him to the orientation. Sat in the auditorium. We were sitting in the auditorium. Nice new auditorium, terrazzo floors. They got the seats looking like a theater going up, big projector screen, projector mounted up. You know what I mean? The guys up there talking on a microphone. And I'm sitting back thinking, out of all these programs they offer, none of these programs are in construction or nothing you'll teach these kids or have them put any of this stuff in. These floors, how you mounted this chair, how you mounted that projector.
Right.
You know what I mean? How that water fountain works.
Right. They have they have a lot of abstract degrees now. They have degrees at college. It's like sociology, marketing, business 101, or cultural diversity, doctorate. I mean, it's like a lot of abstract degrees. Like, when you get that degree, what you gonna do with that?
GM pay more than them degrees. GM pay more than them degrees.
Sociology, science. You know what I'm saying? Just like, I mean, like, they making up degrees and people going out here getting these degrees and then come to find out they working at Marshall's or Walmart, or they getting a job and only making like, look, they getting a job making like $15, $16 an hour. Or if they get put on a salary with full-time benefits, they only making like $30,000, if that.
Yeah. And they got student loan debt now.
Student loan debt, that's crazy.
And then another thing these colleges are doing are, they offer more sports, like Division III sports. Like you can play anything in college now. You know what I mean? And a lot of kids, even myself, went to college to continue to play sports. So wanted to play baseball. I wasn't ready to stop playing, so I went to college. Okay, you got to pick a major. Oh, okay, I think I want to be a gym teacher. That was my first major. I want to be a gym teacher. I wasn't serious about that. You know what I mean? Right. But what I was serious about was wanting to continue to play baseball, maybe try to make it to the league. Right. You know what I mean? Right. So that's why these colleges are all offering more sports, making that a big selling point. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's a money thing. You know what I mean? And it's sad. Like me, I've debated with my wife in the past. We don't do it so much no more. But I'm not gonna put in my kid's head that college is the ticket.
Right.
No,
I'm on the same.
I'm all for college, depending on what you're going for.
Right.
What are you going for? I think your wife's a nurse.
No, my wife is an occupational therapist.
So something in medical, right?
Yeah, she's a healthcare provider.
Okay, that's awesome. My wife is in the pharmacy. You know what I'm saying? In nursing, things like that. Yeah, I mean, you can go out and you're gonna make good money. You're probably gonna get a job because there's just a demand for it.
Yeah, that's a skill. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's a license. You got to be licensed to do that.
Yeah. But 80% of that other stuff, man, is garbage, man. Like, you really don't need a business degree. I got two businesses. I got JJ Plumbing and I got JJI Property Management. Both of them are businesses incorporated with the state of Indiana. I have no business degree. Period.
Right.
I learned the business off of walking the streets of Fort Wayne, picking people's brains, learning off experiences. No business degree, no student loan debt. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so
student loan debt killing me. I went to college 5 times, 4 of the times just to get the money and quit. That last time it became real and I finished, but when I got done and got my degree, it was like, oh man, I forgot about all them other loans. Man, I should have a doctorate degree in something right now. I got so much student loan debt, but I did finally get my degree, so praise God for that.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah.
Apprenticeships, for those out there listening that want to know how you can get a free degree, they actually pay you for a degree. Apprenticeships. I went to the apprenticeships in 2008. Never stepped 1 foot in Ivy Tech, right? Don't even know what the front door looked like. Got an Ivy Tech degree through the apprenticeship. I'm a college graduate I never even stepped in college because the apprenticeship was accredited. Ivy Tech had some where a couple of the classes was, accredited for Ivy Tech. I'm sure they got some money off of it, but I didn't have to pay for it.
You know what I mean? When we done with this, we're going to go on for about another 5-10 minutes, but I want you to send a link, if you could, to me in the email, or this is going to be on Facebook. You can go back and watch it and add the link in there so people can look that up. And that's good information too.
Apprenticeships. Yeah, 18 years old. All you need is a high school diploma and a driver's license.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And they're gonna want to look at your math scores to make sure you can count.
Right.
You know what I mean? But they're not looking for calculus. They're not looking for trigonometry. Like, when have you used I've never took trigonometry or calculus in high school. Never wanted to. Like, I ain't taking that. For what? That sound like something I don't really need. Whatever I'm gonna do in life, it ain't gonna be all of that. Right. I ain't trying to build rockets and spaceships or nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they just pay attention to your attendance, because attendance is important. Right. And they pay attention to your math scores. But other than that, if you got a high school diploma or equivalent GED and a driver's license, you're qualified.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. Only thing after that is mental toughness and some heart. Right. You know what I mean?
Right. That's good, man. That's good. Yeah, I had went from a GED to a college degree. And, I got my bachelor's in software engineering. And a lot of people told me I wasn't going to find a job. Man, I got a job 6 months after graduating college. And I know companies, and I tell people this all the time. I told my nephew, because he was starting college out trying to do IT, and he was thinking he still wasn't going to be prepared. I know companies that will hire you, relocate you to whatever, give you money to relocate you, pay you on the job while they training you to do the job, and then give you more money once you complete your training. I know several companies like this. Some of them require you to have IT associate's degrees. Some of them require you to have bachelor's degrees. However, you need some type of training or some skill sets or something to show that you completed some courses or something. And it can be online courses. As long as you can prove that you got the work done, I know companies that will hire you, relocate you, and pay you a whole bunch of money to do it.
Yeah. So we didn't have people in our ear like this.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we just so far behind the 8 ball and so slow as far as progression. You know what I mean? There needs to be a million guys like me and you with our mentality, and the other affluent people that are striving for affluency. A lot of people just kind of giving up on whatever their dreams was as a kid. Me, I haven't. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, like I was telling you earlier, man. Like, you have these aspirations when you were a kid, and your homeboys did. Some of them just gave up on it. I feel like. Right. They're not trying to you didn't reach your pinnacle at 35, 40 years old. You didn't reach your pinnacle. It's so much. I mean, that's you about halfway done with life. But we're just probably we pretty wise and pretty experienced at this age. This is when we're really supposed to be starting to make moves now.
Right.
You know what I mean? We wasted a lot of time and money, man, with the streets or being in the hood. Wasted a lot of time, a lot of money, man, a lot of brain power on something that just was never gonna pay dividends.
I didn't really get my grip on life until even it was after I was married. I got married. I knew that at the time my girlfriend, when she got pregnant, I knew that I was gonna have to marry her to make the family right, to make her an honest woman and do the right thing by her and by God. But I wasn't a Christian, and I knew I had this foundation of family, and then I had a lesson to be learned by my father. It's not that he done all the right things, he done all the wrong things, but like you said, I learned from all his mistakes. So I figured, like, okay, if I can just marry this woman that's having my child and try to make it work and be there for my children, I think that everything else is gonna work out. Because what happened with me to get a degree, I was working at a Pepsi bottling group in Sacramento, because I was living in Cali for a long time. I just came back 5 years ago from Cali to Indiana. And I was working like 60, 70 hours a week, man. Sometimes up to 75 hours. And I was looking at my check, and then I was looking at my wife's check, and she only working like 40 hours. And she still was like making more money than me. You know what I'm saying? And I got to weighing it, right? And I'm like, okay, do I want to break my back for the rest of my life? You know what I'm saying? Working in 100-degree weather in Sacramento in a warehouse or driving a forklift. Or do I want to do something that's going to secure my family and move forward in that? And then that's from that job, from that Pepsi bottling group, man, I went back to school, bruh, and I hit that grind. And I said, man, I got to do something else. Like, this is not working. But even with that being said, I had motivation, because I'm like, I got to take care of my family. By me wanting to be a man that's going to live up to my responsibilities and my duties to protect my wife and provide for my family, that drove me to get a degree. And by me, and then even with that being said, now that I got a degree, I'm like, okay, I got a degree. That's something to fall back on, but I don't want to build somebody else's legacy and empire for the rest of my life. I don't want to be a worker bee. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Unless, if I choose to do odd jobs and work here and there, that's fine. But the ultimate goal is to have my own company, my own ownership, and where I can pass down this company or this wealth to my wife or to my family, my children coming up.
100%, man. Me and you were like-minded. That is what got me through that apprenticeship. You know what I mean? Like, I'm out there in the field, first year, not making bad money, man. Little did they know. Little did the man know. You paying me $13 an hour and bomb and all the medical benefits. Like, this is the highest paying job I ever had as a first year apprentice. Like, I'm not gonna tell y'all that, but you know what I mean. But what kept me humble and what kept me mentally strong is thinking about my family to be. And what family wasn't even here yet when I started. But my wife was my fiance, so I knew I had to match her because she didn't bump her head coming out of high school. I bumped my head pretty hard coming out of high school. So by the time I got back on the turf, she had already had her pharmacy degree, making good money. You know what I'm saying? So me being a man, I'm like a man's man. Like I'm competitive. I'm intense when it comes to business. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm gonna step my game up. You ain't got to tell me to step my game up. A lot of guys will probably just sit back and play Xbox all day.
Right.
And be content with the woman bringing home most of the bacon. You know what I mean? And have their little job. But I want more out of life than that. I'm more of a prideful man than that. You know what I mean?
That's not a man. That's not a man. If you sitting back and letting a woman take care of you and you able-bodied to work, you ain't got no disability, then you not being a man.
Not in my opinion, you not. You know what I mean? Not in my opinion. I agree with you 100%.
The Bible says that if a man does not take care of his family, he's worse than an infidel, worse than a pagan. Somebody that, especially when it comes to, Christians, Christians already know that they supposed to be taking care of their family. And somebody that's not taking care, that's the least that you can do in life is to provide for your wife and your children, man. That's the least you can do.
That's like rule number one.
Right, exactly. And the issue, with people not stepping up and doing what they supposed to do, man, is just, it's crazy. And for example, when I got married to my wife, bruh, I had no money and no job. When I proposed to my wife, I had no money and no job. It was so crazy because my wife has always been business-minded, very ambitious, very smart. She was already working as an occupational therapist, making buku bread, you know what I'm saying? And, everybody like me, like I done married up and I done moved up because me and her was not on the same level at all, but she had knew me from like way back in the day when I was hustling, and she knew I used to have money. She could tell I was smart and I had like some good, desirable qualities and attributes that she, she seen something in me that was different from.
She seen through you in your foreclosure state.
Yeah. Basically, that's what it is. Because everybody was like, "Are you serious? You about to marry this dude? Just getting out of jail, out of prison. Coming from that whole background, that whole lifestyle." And and I asked her father. Would he allow me to marry? He told me, yeah. You know what I'm saying? He said he seen something in me too. And her father is a mechanical engineer and, very smart. And he on both sides because he can do stuff with computers, but he also can work with his hands too. So he can do plumbing, electrical, drywall. He can do all that stuff too. So
those haters inspired you. They gave you a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah. So, by me marrying her, and her dealing with all my mess for so many years, man, it was just like, man, I gotta step up because I just can't have this lopsided the whole time, man. The whole time we together, it can't be lopsided like this, man. I gotta step my game up.
You don't make you feel right. It don't make you feel like a man.
Nah.
Yeah, I understand that completely, man. That was my struggle also. I remember my wife asked me before. She was like, "Could you be the type of man that be a stay-at-home dad?" No, not me.
You know what? And I did that. I did that for a minute, but I was working odd jobs. But I was basically like a stay-at-home dad, and I didn't feel right with that. You know what I'm saying? While she going to work, I'm staying home with the babies, and I was like, nah.
I'm gonna get something built, baby. I'm gonna get it cracking. Right. That ain't what I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? Like I'm telling you now. No, I don't care how much money you make. Right. You can make $1 million a year. I don't care. I'm not going to be the stay-at-home dad.
Yeah. And then she was like, well, by you going to work, it's all that money gonna go towards daycare. I was like, well, all that money gonna go towards daycare then, because I'm not about to just be sitting around the house. I'm gonna contribute some way. She said, well, don't you know that watching the babies and take care of them is contributing? I was like, nah, that ain't cool. You know what I'm saying? I gotta do something. I gotta, show some type of drive. You know, just taking care of it. That ain't what's up.
That ain't supposed to be my role. I don't want that. I don't want that to be my role.
Nah.
I know that could be. If under extenuating circumstances, yeah, that could be my role. But no, I'm too healthy. I'm too intelligent for that role.
Right. Exactly. So I had to do something else, and by God's grace, I'm here. I was just promoted in my job about 6-7 months ago, and given a decent raise. And a lot of people didn't think that I was gonna make it. I remember being in college, my last few classes, my instructor told me that my personality didn't fit with IT, and that I might want to look at doing something else.
Well, let me tell you what he probably said, because you was outspoken.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so let me tell you what I remember most about you back in middle school. I think Miss Ricketts, maybe. Do you remember her, old lady? 6th grade, 7th. You might not remember none of the teachers.
No.
But you always told the teachers when they asked you what did you want to be, I'm gonna be a rapper when I grow up. Man, you said it with so much conviction that I believed you. Right. This is what I remember. I remember that about you more than maybe something that might happen in lunch, or I remember that about you, Gary. I remember you was always convinced. And you had real conviction that you was gonna be a rapper. Right. I mean, that's just that it wasn't. I'm thinking about. No, you had it absolutely. I'm like, dang, already he know what he want to be.
Right.
I believe you, and whether you want to believe it or not, I think you still are living that.
Right.
I think you're not the rapper you might have wanted to be, but I think you still rapping. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can call it something else, but you still speaking and people listen. You know what I mean?
Right.
You still delivering a message.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's just one thing I remember about you, man. And I'm not surprised by nothing you do. You always seem mentally strong and mentally tough. Not surprised by anything you do. I actually expect it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And life is simple, but we always make it hard on ourselves because of the decisions we make, the people we choose to continue to go around with. The environment has a lot to do with those decisions we make.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It has a lot to do with it when you that young. Right. You know what I mean? But when you get older now, when you in the neighborhood, man. It ain't too many places to go. Right. You know what I mean? But when you become a man and you get out and you in the real world, now you can make conscious decisions. I don't got to go over here and sit on the porch. Go grab a bottle and go sit on the porch. Grab a pack of cigarettes and sit on the porch. That's not what I'm doing because that ain't productive. So I think as soon as we matured and was able to make our decisions got a little broader, we was able to make better decisions and get out of the environment that just wasn't going to get us nowhere, man. People always say he's smart, or they might say Harry's smart. I don't think I'm that smart. I'm still a student. I still want to learn.
Right.
If you compare me to the people, I think I'm average. Okay.
Right.
I think I'm average, and I want to be smarter. That's why I'm always willing to listen and learn. You know what I mean? And I think that most of the people in our neighborhoods that we grew up in, I think they're below average. You know what I mean? They want to look at me like I'm some super smart kid. No, I'm not, man. I think I'm pretty average. You know what I mean? I just think that as a whole, our community intellectually is below average as far as IQ on economics. You know what I mean? They get a little money, they go buy a car. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
None of my siblings have ever asked me, how do I buy my own house? Mm-hmm. I got a sister staying in one of my units. I got a brother staying in one of my units. I got a cousin staying in one of my units. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has ever said, man, how you buying all these houses? Teach me how to buy a house. No, they didn't. They never even asked me that. Right. You know what I mean? There's no way I would ever let a person that I know, on an intimate level, a friend, buddy, you know what I mean? Like, I know you, like, right. You know what I mean? Like me or we grew up. There's no way that I wouldn't pick their brain if they were doing something that was making them succeed or grow economically, or they had a certain knack for something. You know what I mean? Even if I end up not doing it.
That comes with a confidence level, though, because you got to have confidence that you can do it. And this is something I tell my children. It's not that you don't know how to do it. It's that you need to have a mindset where you can learn how to do it. Not knowing something is no excuse when you can learn it. That's what I tell my children all the time. Not just because you don't know how to do it don't mean that you can't learn it. And if you are disciplined and you are consistent with looking at it a little bit each day, it's kind of like how you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. If you do one step at a time, you will get there and you will learn it. And that's the same thing, like even in my career, me doing IT work and computer programming and all that type of stuff, you know, it was like a foreign language to me, but because I stayed at it and stayed at it and stayed at it, I built on that knowledge and I got to the place where I'm at today. And the same thing with real estate investing, because, you know, I'm having conversations like this with you. I got mentors. I got other people in the community. I'm rubbing elbows with realtors and other people with the same like mindset. I'm taking that knowledge and I'm building on that. You know what I'm saying?
That network is your new university.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's free. If you got enough, if you like you said, confidence is huge, man. Because I think that's a lot of it. Confidence, and a determination. You know what I mean?
Right.
I asked a pastor one time, Reverend Hunter, and I said, so, you know, how do you know when God answered your prayers? You know, people, you know, say, oh, you should pray on it. Oh, you should pray on it. I was like, well, how do you know? When do you know that God has answered your prayer? And, you know, he said something to me that kind of caught me off guard, but I liked it because I think it was real.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I don't know about all that praying. Keep on praying and praying. I think you know when you have the opportunity, you have the means, you got the confidence and the ability. And like I said, the opportunity is there. That's God putting it in your face.
Mm.
He's not just going to yell down, yeah, Reggie, that's the move right there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You got to believe. You got to believe that that God put this right here in front of you, whether it's a real estate deal or anything.
Right.
He put it in front of you. Oh, this must be for me. Here, you done found this property and you can grab it. And these people are willing to, okay. Like, what are you waiting on? You gonna go, you know what I mean? Like, how many weeks you gonna go home and pray about it? Because then, you know, in real estate, it's gonna be gone.
Yeah, it's gonna be gone quick.
So I love that he mentioned that to me, man, because that gave me a many more conscious of, you know, when an opportunity comes. Not if you got to force it, you know what I mean?
Right.
But sometimes it's just right here. You done went after it, and now it's right here. That's God. That's God putting it in your face, man.
Yeah, I know the way that this deal came about. Remember when I was talking to you, like, man, where you find these houses? He's like, it's pretty much you got to know somebody. And you was telling me that one of the pastors or somebody you knew you was doing work on their house ended up selling you one of their houses and doing. This is how I got this property. Matter of fact, I need to get off here because I need to go meet the dude to sell, to sign a purchase and sale agreement. But it was because of the realtor that put me in contact with my contractors that helped me flip the house, that he was doing work on another house, and it's a pastor that I'm getting this house from. And he was like, hey, man, the guy was talking about he want to sell his house. You might want to go over there and check it out. So basically, my contractor put me in contact through word of mouth, and it's not on the market, super cheap, good equity, and it's about to make a great flip, man. And it's just like, boom, there you go. So that's why I'm trying to do more business with people in my community, because like you said, it's that inner spider web network under the radar where they talking to each other and they making things happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, once they hit the public, man, you're gonna pay too much.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? You're gonna pay too much. Not that you can't win, but you gonna pay too much. And like, that's just my philosophy, man. If it's on the market, I'm really not that interested in it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm trying to find these people who, you know, who I don't know if it's uninformed or too lazy to maximize on that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Somebody's gotta help. Somebody's gotta take advantage of the situation. You know, give them what they want, but this was fair to them. You know what I mean? And then you do your thing, you know?
Right, exactly.
Look, so congratulations on that, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. Look, I need to go ahead and jump off here, man. You know, it was a pleasure. It was good chopping it up with you. I think this is the first time I actually got the screen to pop up on both sides. Bro, I've been dealing with this podcast stuff. When I first started my first podcast, my mic wasn't even on.
Yeah.
So even with me doing this, I just jumped out there. Like, I have been playing about doing a podcast for years, man. And then all of a sudden it just hit me real bad. And I went out and got the stuff, and I just started, and I'm just fumbling. I'm learning as I'm going, but it's, so.
That's what you got to do. You got to live and learn. Don't just live.
Right. You know, so, hey, I love you, man. You know, next time I'm in Fort Wayne, maybe we can get together, sit down, eat some food or something, man, and chop it up some more about some of these properties.
No doubt, I'm only a call away, man. I live through that. I live through that phone, man. So I'm always that. That number ain't never gonna change, and I ain't nothing but a call away, man. For sure. Thanks for having me, for real.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think everybody gonna enjoy checking this out. You on Facebook? Go back and watch it later, man. I think it turned out real good. Hopefully the sound and everything sound just right. I'll be in contact, man. I'll let you know. Soon as I sign the purchase and sales agreement, I'm gonna post to show you what the house look like. I'm gonna put it on Facebook so people can see it. I'm gonna put under contract or something like that. So
so you putting it on there to sell, or you putting it on there?
I'm putting it on there for people to see it. And then, I got people that's watching me that give me money. You know what I'm saying? They always kind of like, where you at now? What you doing now? And that will give me money to, close the deal because I got, private money lenders and stuff like that. So I just start get the traction and, to keep them updated to let them know I'm still moving because this last house I just flipped, some people shot me some money to get it done. You know what I'm saying? And I paid them back. So, we doing it moving, man.
Yeah, man. Congratulations, yo.
Yep, that's what's up, man. So, hey, thank you again, Reggie Jackson, one of the funniest dudes in Fort Wayne, man. My guy.
All right, man. Later.
All right, now.